What's up, guys? Oofsky here, and today we are taking a look at the high-grade Kampfer. Originally released in 2008, but reprinted recently. I'm really happy to have finally been able to pick one of these up because I missed the last couple of restocks and it was getting slim out there. As soon as my email went off, as soon as I got into the browser, they were sold out, and luckily I was able to pick one up finally. Looks pretty interesting. This guy with these giant bazookas, the chain mine whip, beam sabers, overall an absolute menace, and he stays strapped. But let's open her up, take a look at it. I know I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. German for fighter, the Kampfer was piloted by Michael Kaminsky of the Zeon Cyclops team in Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket during the 1-year war. The Kampfer's model number also has another reference. The model number is MS-18E. The E is an abbreviation for the German Einhorn, meaning one strike, which is precisely what the Kampfer's main objective was. Matching the Federation's RX Gundam line in both firepower and mobility, this assault mobile suit was piloted by Zeon's Special Forces and meant to get quickly behind enemy lines, cause extensive damage, and then get out. All those extra verniers resulted in higher fuel consumption, which limited its runtime, but this was made up for by not featuring any beam weapons, save for the sabers, which ran on their own separate power supply. That way, they could only use kinetic weapons and not draw from the fuel supply of the MS to fuel the beam weapons. The high-grade Kampfer is definitely like a tactical, like special assault like suit. This thing is an armory by itself with so many weapons. It has two each of the following: a 360 millimeter giant bazooka, a Jaguar here. I butchered that. It's a 192 millimeter shotgun, two beam sabers, head-mounted Vulcans, two Sturmfasts, and most iconically, those chain mine whips. All of these weapons can be equipped simultaneously with all the various weapon racks on this assault class mobile suit, and they will be ejected from the body as they are expended so the Kampfer can cut down on dead weight and further reduce fuel consumption. This high-grade Kampfer really looks stunning as a finished product, and it is not overly reliant on stickers due to its monocolor scheme, but there's lots of nice molding to make it still look interesting despite the just navy blue that you see. The thrusters and the verniers throughout the mobile suit are partially molded in orange, and the remainder of them will need to be painted. Sometimes, like during the build, the connections felt a little awkward. There was a bit of an over-reliance on different sized polycaps throughout the same sections of the build. It just didn't feel that good. And the section of the waist is pretty wobbly, although it can spin all the way around, which is pretty cool. I just wish it was maybe a little more smug because the Kampfer just kind of keeps trying to lean forward as a result. You could probably remedy it with some putty from Tamiya or green stuff, but I don't really want to sacrifice any of the mobile suit's mobility. Another thing I wish we had on this high-grade Kampfer were places to store those beam sabers, because there are so many weapon racks throughout, as you've seen. However, there are not any places to put the beam sabers, and I very much would have liked something to that effect. This chain whip for the mines is also very imposing. It's on a flexible wire. It wraps all the way around. You can ensnare other mobile suits for it, lay it out. It's pretty unwieldy. If you use an action base 5, I might use the weapon rack to like prop it up a little bit if you're going to do anything too dynamic with it. Alrighty, and lastly, as usual, we're just going to touch on some of the details, little bits. There are some extra stickers included. We've got the foil seals, and we've got some normal, like, all-purpose, almost like real-grade stickers for the insignias. I don't really know what direction I want to go with this guy yet, so I've opted to not do anything besides, like, the eye, and I might take off this top fin sticker just because it's kind of loose. Pop off these chain mines so we can move it. Some of these old Zeon suits are kind of built like bags of dog food. But the Kampfer moves really well, which is surprising. You know, the feet, they lots of stretch here because we don't have the waist panels. Instead, we are opting to just have more curvature here on the hip. All these vernier thrusters are shown as orange on the box. Beautiful foot molding too. Let's just note that. So you could definitely paint those. I would paint some of them before you attach them. These swivel, which is nice. You get some nice like deep bends. You can twist this all the way around, almost like an owl turning its head, which is kind of crazy. Moves really well, and it is a veritable, like, complete Zeon arsenal. You got bazookas, 2 shotguns. It's worth noting. You guys already saw it, but the shotguns have 2 separate handles for when they're being stored or when they're being used. And all of these are pretty universal with those sandwiching hands. So you can swap these out and use them for any of your other things. The Sturmfasts are generic. It even has a nice like posing hand. So even if you're not going to use all this stuff for the Kampfer, you can definitely repurpose it to your other models, which is really cool. While I did have some initial gripes with the build itself, just because it felt kind of dated even compared to its contemporaries. This Kampfer came out in like 2008 originally, and the Rick Dom that we reviewed earlier came out in 2006, and it just felt more up to date, even though these are both reissues, but one is 2 years earlier. At the end of the day, though, the high-grade Kampfer really is just an awesome kit, and I understand now why I had to fight tooth and nail to find one in stock. Speaking of fighting, I know I've already said this, but the Kampfer's name is like German for fighter. But over at LeapingPandaHobbies.com, you guys don't have to fight to find the Gunpla that you want in stock. They've got the product, and I've got the deals for you. Use my promo code EGGHEAD. That's promo code EGGHEAD. Get yourself 10% off your entire order. Pick yourself up a nice Zeon Assault Suit or whatever else might tickle your fancy, and get to building. What are you guys working on right now? I would love to know myself. Let me know down below. I think we're building a really nice community here. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, why don't you go ahead and do so? It's free. It really helps the channel out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week with another review.